The photograph was still on my screen at 2:14 a.m. I hadn't meant to open it. I told myself I was only backing up the session files. But then, the thumbnail appeared in the grid, and my cursor drifted toward it. Margot Sterling, looking at something just beyond the frame. Her expression wasn't soft. Soft implied yielding, and Margot Sterling did not yield to anything. But there was something at the corner of her mouth, a tiny, almost smile that had begun and stopped before she could decide. In that one frame, she wasn't performing. She wasn't the CEO of Ashdown Capital. She was just a person caught between one thought and the next. My phone buzzed. Vittoria's name appeared on the screen. "You're still awake, Dahlia. I can see the read receipts on the contact sheet I sent you." I stared at the message. I hadn't sent her any contact sheets. "Your cloud backup is linked to the project folder," Vittoria wrote. "Don't worry, I only looked at the thumbnails." "She's magnificent, isn't she?" My jaw tightened. Then another message arrived. "You should listen when the word favor enters the room. Watch what she does when someone reminds her she owes." Fascinating. "I'm not going to play that game," I typed. "No, you're too professional for that. That's why I hired you." A pause. "Has she started trusting you yet?" I didn't sleep after that. The Ashdown Capital Tower looked different at 6 in the evening. With the sun bleeding orange behind the skyline, the building absorbed the light instead of reflecting it. The elevator was empty. I watched my reflection in the polished brass doors and noticed I had chosen the same blouse I had worn to the first session. Black silk, high neck, professional armor. 42 was quiet. Most of the floor had gone dark, but at the end of the corridor, a door stood open. Margot was waiting. Tonight she wore navy, controlled but softer than before. "You're punctual," she said, without turning. "You expected otherwise?" "I expected you to be early." A small admission. She had anticipated me. "I brought the initial proofs from last session," I said. "Not yet." Now she faced me. "I looked through every photograph ever published of me," she said. "Corporate headshots, magazine profiles, event coverage. There are exactly 4 images I don't hate." "What are the 4? 3 were taken by accident. A conference shot, a tech blog candid, a security camera at a factory opening." She paused. "The 4th is the one you took yesterday." The air between us changed. "I don't remember that moment," she continued, "but I recognize myself in it. That almost never happens." I should have said something professional. Instead, I said, "You were about to smile." Her chin lifted. Was I? "I don't know. Your mouth started the motion and then stopped. I clicked before you could decide." She held my gaze for 3 heartbeats. 4. Then she turned toward the back of the office. "I want tonight's session to be different." I followed. She led me through a door I hadn't noticed before. Beyond it was a short corridor, ending in a room that smelled of old paper and chemicals. The archive room. Shelves lined every wall from floor to ceiling, packed with binders marked by year. A long table filled the center, covered in magazine proofs, press clippings, and photographs. Photographs everywhere. Margot at podiums, Margot shaking hands, Margot cutting ribbons. But also a younger Margot at a university debate, mid-argument, hands blurred with motion. Margot in her late 20s beside a prototype, expression fierce and focused. And Margot at a charity dinner, laughing. But the laugh was wrong, too wide, too deliberate. Someone had circled her mouth in red ink. "My image control archive," she said. Every proof I rejected, every frame I allowed. I picked up a contact sheet from 2014, 6 nearly identical headshots. 5 crossed out. 1 marked acceptable. This is extensive. It's obsessive, she corrected. Image is the first thing people see, and the first thing they judge. I decided early that I would control what they saw. Why show me this? Because you're the first photographer in 2 decades who hasn't asked me to smile. She was closer than I expected. I could smell bergamot and cedar. Vittoria told me she called in a favor, I said. The temperature in the room dropped. She told you that? She told me enough to know she wanted me to carry the word into this room and see what you did with it. I'm not here to collect anything for her, I said. Not secrets, not debts, not leverage. Margot's gaze flickered. The truth, she said, is that Vittoria doesn't share information to be helpful. She shares it to see what people do with it. Then her voice went flat. When she proposed power in profile, she said I owed her a favor. Her exact words. The word landed like a slap. I don't owe anyone anything, Margot said. Least of all Vittoria Ashford. Whatever arrangement we have is mutual, transactional. No debts, no obligations. It was too strong, too immediate. A woman who had spent 23 years controlling every frame had just lost control over one word. For the next hour, I photographed her in the archive room. I didn't pose her. I let her sort through the folders and caught the small moments in between. A fingertip tracing a rejected photograph. A slight frown at an image she had approved and clearly regretted. The way she held a contact sheet up to the light. The camera clicked. She didn't flinch anymore. What are you thinking about? I asked. How many versions of myself I've killed in this room. Killed. Rejected. Edited. Shaped into something acceptable. I stepped closer. Inadequacy is about not being good enough, I said. Dishonesty is about not being yourself. You don't strike me as someone who worries about being good enough. The corner of her mouth moved. That almost smile again. Can I try something? What? I want to photograph you without the archive. Just you, in this moment, without performing for my lens or for yourself. I don't perform. Everyone performs, especially when they're alone. For a long moment, she was perfectly still. Then her left hand drifted to the table, palm down. I didn't photograph the old pale line across her skin. I photographed her face instead, in the moment she realized her hand was visible and chose not to hide it. Click. Why do you want this? She asked. The honest image. What do you get out of it? The feeling that I've seen something true. And that's worth what? Money? Reputation? Vittoria's approval? It's worth my time. She looked at me then, really looked. You're different, she said. I haven't decided if that's good. Neither have I. Later, when I lowered the camera, she reached for the light meter at the same moment I did. Her fingers brushed the back of my hand. The contact lasted less than a second. Still, we both felt it. She pulled back first. Sorry. Don't be. We stood there, too close. Then she stepped away. There's a house upstate, she said. It belonged to my mother. No staff, no security cameras, no Vittoria watching through cloud backups. You're inviting me to photograph you there? I'm inviting you to try. Her voice was steady, but there was risk inside it. Saturday, she said. I'll send the address. Come alone. She left before I could answer. The camera was still in my hand. I hadn't taken the final shot, but I could still see it.